Hello, I'm Andre van Barneveld from Grace Consultancy. I'm passionate about helping dairy farmers achieve better profitability, and that usually involves getting better use of quality pasture. Springtime's tricky. It's a time where people are trying to balance the nutritional needs of the cow and trying to get use of spring pasture in normally fairly marginal conditions, ground conditions. So key principles is, first and foremost, it's absolutely critical that you choose the right paddocks to turn cows out onto initially. No matter whether you're a spring calving herd or an autumn calving herd, it's making sure that the cows go onto shorter covers rather than the longest covers on the farm. The temptation tends to be to turn cows into the longest paddock and let them have the whole paddock, because just to get them out onto grass and let them eat lots of grass and nutritionally look after them. And this is something that farmers tend to get really wrong. You need to make sure that you almost under allocate. Give them shorter covers around that 2,400 kilos of dry matter per hectare, where the grass is green down to the base and cows will willingly graze it down. This means that the cows will need a larger area per cow because there's less grass per square metre. So they need more area, which means you're less likely to do damage to the soils. The cows will willingly graze it down, and residuals are the key for the next rotation. So give the cows an allocated space, and if you have to take them off after 3 hours and bring them back in, that's okay. So you've got to teach them to graze grass down to the right residual right from the word go, and that means turning them onto shorter covers rather than the highest covers. After you've got through those covers, you can then, at the beginning of March, maybe go on to the longest covers when soil temperatures are a little bit higher. Obviously, to know what grass to turn onto, it's really important to measure grass. Ideally, you need to be measuring using some form of consistent measuring device like a plate meter, and get ideas on what covers the cows are going into, what your growth rates are, so that you can do more planning. Even if you don't do this, it's important to make sure your grazing decisions are right and to understand what level is right for cows. As grass is longer later on in the season, it means that it's lower digestibility and it's got less energy per kilo dry matter. And as such, you then have to compensate with more concentrate. And that's where the profitability is usually lost. So springtime is the time where I always say the first rotation's for the grass, the second rotation's for the cow. It's really important to make sure that you try and get a good residual as much as you can in the first rotation with the cows, and teach them to graze properly again. You can't do this on long covers initially. You have to do it on the slightly shorter covers and get cows out with a little bit of appetite to graze, and then if you have to, bring them in. There's nothing wrong with cows out by day and in by night for the first week or two, and get them used to being out and grazing grass again.